Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant. I'm a life coach, speaker, and believer in the boundless power within every one of us. Each week, we're diving into raw, transformative conversations that not only spark healing, but growth and unshakable clarity. Because you know what? Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard, and your purpose is waiting to be fully lived. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show. I have an extraordinarily special guest in the house today. In fact, I just spent probably an hour off camera because I just couldn't stop smoozing with her and absorbing her beautiful energy. Come to find out, she's a fellow Libra. For those of you out there that can see how beautiful she is too. But I have Mary Zilba in the house. And not only was she a Vancouver housewife, and I didn't know that when I asked her on the show, she's a singer songwriter. She is, I could go producer, writer, she's a mother, a TV personality, and that would be the Real Housewives of Vancouver. But she was Miss Ohio. She has had a vast career. But I'm going to tell you, it hasn't ended there. She's got big things coming, and you heard it here first. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Gosh,
Oh,
I'm so
it's
excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I mean, it's been a long time with us trying to coordinate
Yes.
this, and I just knew the synergy and that I would love you as much as I have. It's almost like
Aw.
we've run out of things to talk about because we've just spent an hour talking. But
It's been so
but
much
now,
fun
yeah, now we need to share with the people. Now we need to share with the people
of everything we talked about.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
you're vast and deep. You've got the Mary, let me say this right, Zilba show. You have your own podcast show that is like quasi famous, and you go deep. You go in. One would not think that you would go into medical advocacy and the depths of where you go, and you do.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think people thought I was going to go into talking about reality TV or
Exactly.
music or something in the entertainment field. But I just have had a calling through things that have happened in my life and things that I've seen friends go through and family go through that my interest sort of swayed over to a lot of medical topics, spiritual topics, things
Right.
that are a little bit less on the superficial
Yeah, and you
sector.
started out leaning into medicine,
I
which is
did. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I reached out prior to knowing and be prior to and you can find it out there on what is that, Hulu? Is it Hulu? Hulu.
Peacock.
Peacock. Gosh, I'm terrible with the
Well,
app.
there's so many,
Peak.
so
Yeah,
many
I know.
stations.
Hulu, Peacock,
Yeah.
the Housewives of Vancouver. But what's so interesting about that is then that was on my radar. And then I watched, and we're going to lean into this. I watched a brutality take place in that show. Of you took an enormous beating in the group of women, one in particular that targeted you. And how did you handle that? I mean, we live in a world where there's a lot of bullies out there and there's a lot of bullies online, but man, I watched it and I'm like, okay, I can't ignore this. We have to talk about this.
Yeah. I've been told that the Real Housewives of Vancouver is probably the darkest of all the franchises that have ever aired. Because of everything that happened to me in particular. I still to this day don't know why I was the target
Of
from
course you do.
I
You're
don't
beautiful,
really
you're
know.
talented, you're gentle, you're balanced. I mean, it makes perfect sense to
Oh,
me
thank you.
why someone would want to tear you down. What doesn't make sense to me is you are right. It was some of the darkest things I've ever seen. And what I didn't
Yeah.
understand is how production did that. They sat back and did nothing when it wasn't just bantering and ebb and flow of energy. It was a beating of emotional abuse.
Yeah, and they didn't step in at all. I mean, at season two, I was at that point at season two, I was able to say, I'm not going to that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
that. And they'd say, well, you have to. I'm like, I'm not. I'm not. You can fire me. I'm not going to go become more abused. I'm not going to get more abused.
Right.
by those women. I'm just not going to do it. So
Yeah.
there were a couple times where I put my foot down and just didn't go, but they made me make a phone call or something to say, I'm not making it to your event.
Right.
But no, it was very traumatic for me. And
Yeah.
was raising three boys on my own. So I was a single mom coming
Exactly.
home, and the kids would be so upset, going, "What happened? What did they do to you today?" Like, so,
And you
it,
were just going through a divorce too at the time, were you
yeah,
not?
I was, yeah,
So divorce, raising three sons,
yeah,
and thinking that you're entering this group of synergy and women that you might have some fun with,
right.
and you get knocked silly. And
Yeah, when it came right out of the blue, I had no idea. From the very first time we filmed, it was
yeah,
like, what did she just say to me? Like, why is she picking a fight? Like, I just didn't understand it because I never had friends like that. I didn't know that women would just all of a sudden start
no,
hating on each other for like no reason whatsoever. But like I had said to you earlier,
right,
I hadn't watched the series before. I didn't know
right,
much about the Real Housewives franchise, and that was kind of how it operated.
right.
So it was really a shock. But to keep your composure
Yeah.
during filming, when somebody is going at you the way that I was attacked, and
You never lost your composure,
no, it was
ever.
hard. It was hard not to lose my composure, but not, I mean, not all the time. I mean, obviously, I stay true to who I am because I'm not really a person who does that. But
Right.
at times, I just felt like I wanted to walk away and I was done and I was going to quit. And I
Makes
wanted to
sense.
probably scream some profanities at one time or another.
Makes
Um,
even more sense.
yeah, but I didn't. And I think part of the reason was just also that my I have three boys, so I'm their role model. I knew that from the day
Right.
they were born. And I thought if I'm going to go on television and act completely different than who I am and embarrass my children on television, I
Mm.
was never going to do that. I just would never bring myself to the point of saying anything to anyone that would that my children would then have to pay for. And
Wow.
so at times I mean, though that went through my head, like you're their role model, don't do anything
Right.
that could ever embarrass them at school. They all went to Catholic school, and I was just like,
Right. Right.
having their mom be on a show like that and not knowing how they're going to edit it.
Yeah.
You don't.
And
But thank goodness, like when we finally did get the edited versions, there were just a couple things that in a couple scenes that they edited out of place. But they could never edit me saying something that I didn't say because what comes out of your mouth comes out of your mouth as
exactly.
much as some of those women want to say, oh, production made me do it and it was
Yeah.
scripted. None of it was scripted. Production told us to do nothing. It was all
Yeah.
very, very authentic to who they are.
Well, you could see your demeanor and the flow, and all of that being very natural, but you could also you could feel the distress. I was distressed. And
Yeah.
and not to dominate the conversation with this, but it felt as if not only were you a target, but there was some mental illness going on. And I'm that's what surprised me that they didn't interject and say, listen, this is really off balance and unhealthy.
That's a really good point. Why didn't anyone come to that realization that this was
Yeah.
not an act? This was some real mental illness.
Yeah.
Um, and
That
that's
really
very,
targeted you. It
yeah,
wasn't random.
yeah.
It was very focused and felt almost premeditated.
It did seem sometimes to me too that did they
Yeah.
all like tell, but I know
Did
that they
seem
didn't, but
random.
yeah, yeah, and then after the show had wrapped, second season's worse than the first season. I have to say there is one
I'm
episode
gonna
from,
watch that. I'm
oh
watching
my
the
gosh.
second season. I haven't done that yet. Yeah.
But afterward, after the show wrapped, I did do a couple of town halls in Vancouver. I got all kinds of mental health people together to talk about bullying, and that bullying is not just part of, being a child and what happens on the playground, and mean
Exactly.
girls and all that stuff, but it happens as an adult, and you kind of
Yeah.
go, "What?"
Did you have women reach out and say, I can't believe I'm witnessing this? Or
Yes,
did
I
you
did.
have, yeah,
Quite a
I,
bit. I really did. Yeah. I was so surprised because I think everyone thought when the show was finally edited and put on the air that they were going to become these like superstars.
yeah,
Um, and I didn't know that I would become more of like the sweetheart of the show or the fan
Yeah,
favorite,
the sweet, yeah,
you
well,
know.
not a sweetheart fanfare, and elegant and graceful and in flow. I love the ebb and flow. And then there's just like I don't like to call anyone names, but what just dropped in was Trainwreck.
Yeah,
Trainwreck 1, Trainwreck 2,
yeah,
and it's like, what is that? What is going on?
yeah.
You
And
know?
it was a gang. It was like they ganged up
Yeah.
on me. It became almost a gang mentality.
Yeah.
Um, and
Has
it,
anyone apologized for any of that?
no,
Really?
not really. Mm-mm. No. I mean, no. And I remember years, a couple of years after I just avoided anywhere I'd think there was a restaurant in town, anywhere I'd think I'd run into any of them.
Right.
Because I just couldn't. I did have PTSD. And even
Oh,
now, I kind of still do, to be honest. Now that it's airing on Peacock in the United States,
and it's
currently,
resurfaced all over again,
it's
right?
resurfaced all over
Which is
again.
crazy that it's like, so did they, and they didn't offer, hey, Mary, we're going to get you some therapy, or we want to make this available to you. Any of that from what they witnessed?
No, they just kept telling me I had to show up the next day. Like there wasn't any, no, no, no.
Wow.
There was no one feeling bad for me during it. That's for sure. Not that I know. Anyway, no one
Yeah.
ever came up to me to ask
Yeah.
me about that.
Well, it's interesting that when I asked you on the show, it was about your pot and other things, and then I watched that, and I was in literally, I had to replay it because I'm like, I didn't just witness what I just witnessed, did I? And no one did anything about that. I've
Yeah.
never seen so much like not only I can't imagine the post-traumatic stress, but no one came to rescue or be an advocate or have
No,
your back.
no.
It was really like you said when you said the darkest housewives of history. I would absolutely agree. It
Well, and
will
I
go
think
down as is yeah.
that was part and parcel why it didn't get renewed again. Because from what I was told from the network executive, um, who was in charge of the entire show that was based in Toronto, she said it was because of the bullying, that the fans were so loud in talking about how dark it was that,
Distressed. It was
yeah,
distressing to
but
watch.
right. So they decided that because it costs a lot of money to shoot one of those shows. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very busy. It's every
Well, they should
day.
have fired the bullies
Yeah.
and rebooted like what did they do? I think the Housewives of New York, not that they were bullies, the New York ones rebooted and reinvented,
Yeah.
new people.
And
I
they
don't
are
think that
talking about that again right
oh
now as
wow.
we speak. They are talking about rebooting it, but they've talked to me about it and I said I just don't know if I could go through it again. Definitely
Mm.
not with those same cast of women. I couldn't.
Oh no.
Not a chance. But
I
um
like that. Not a chance.
not a chance. I just couldn't. My life is different.
Yeah,
I cannot go back to that. That was, and
right.
those, I don't think they could, I don't think the fans would even want Jody to come back on that show.
Oh, there's just no way. I don't know.
No. And she
I mean,
lives her life like that person. Like that
yeah.
is not a put on. Like that is who she is. I've seen,
Well, when we talked a little bit about the karma of that, I think that she might have lost everything, divorce,
yeah,
lost store closed, everything just like boom, done from what the little
yes.
bit of research I did,
Yes, and then her
which
daughter, the daughter that was on the show, she ended up having a lot of traumatic things happen to her. She got shot
oh wow.
um, with a gun, yeah. And then,
Wow.
yeah,
Sorry for that, but
yeah. And then she was dating somebody that was kind of sketchy, I think. And he was the target, but she was the one who was in the
wow.
way. And she had a baby with that guy, and somehow he's passed away since then.
Wow.
So there have been some pretty dark things that have
That
happened. And
continued from that. Yeah.
yeah, not to say that I ever wish that upon anyone, even my
Of course, not
worst
even karma.
enemy.
Do we want to wish
Yeah,
bad karma on anyone? We
yeah,
just
no,
know that that seems to be a fulfilled prophecy. When we behave that way, it tends to trail us,
yeah.
unfortunately.
But again, it's
Unfortunately.
really funny. I'm was born and raised in Ohio in a big Catholic family. And I still, even though I've lived out west for years, 30 years plus, I still, and been in the business, I'm shocked at the way some people behave. I'm just
Yeah.
still
And you were
like,
Miss Ohio. I don't know if I mentioned that, but you were
yeah,
Miss Ohio.
right.
You were the beauty queen of Ohio,
Well, yeah.
which is a
Well,
big deal in Ohio. I
it
mean,
was
they
was
always
in
have
Miss
good beauty
America.
queens.
My sister
Yeah.
was also in the Miss America pageant.
Oh,
So
I
we're
love that.
yeah, so we're
Didn't
like the
know
only
that.
two
Yeah.
sisters. I think there might be another two sisters that were on a Trivial Pursuit card. That's my claim to fame.
Oh, that's very
Um,
cool. I love that.
yeah, so if you ever get it, who were the only two sisters to ever, what state were they from or something like that? So now you,
Ohio,
yeah,
two
you got
beauty
it. You
queens,
won. Ding, ding,
both
ding.
in Miss Americas, and they'll be like, ding, 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 ding,
Yeah,
ding. Dana
you
got
got it.
it.
They'll be like, no. How
They'll
did you
say,
get that?
she really is a good intuitive. She just dropped right into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I still kind of just go, what did they just say? What?
Mm,
Like, and as I said to you earlier, there, Jody's two children, younger
yeah.
children, especially the boy who was, I think, in elementary school,
Yeah. Little. He was a little guy.
brutalized, though. He was brutalized by,
Mm.
I think he was in like seventh grade or something. He was brutalized by kids, that his
Oh, I'm
mother
sorry.
was on that show and acting the way she was. And I remember in our reunion show, season one, I even said that to her. I go, shame on you. Like, don't you realize that your children are watching this show, Jody, to act the way that you acted?
But
And the
there wasn't any self-awareness. Not even, there was nothing received that, I
such a
mean,
good point. That's
yeah.
such a good point. Self awareness.
Yeah.
Some people don't have it. And I forget that sometimes that they
Yeah,
just
there
don't
was a
have it.
link missing of
Yeah.
any form of, do you have any idea how you're being perceived? Well, there's no self-awareness. So, no, she didn't have
Interesting.
any idea how she was perceived, which makes sense that she would continue to behave in um,
But now she's telling
that
the
fashion.
American viewers or people now that are watching the show for the first time that it was all scripted and it was an act she put on. It wasn't
Yeah.
an
Well,
act.
yeah, no, we all know that's not true. You
Yeah.
could Google, yeah. With Google and ChatGPT, you can see not scripted, all organic, really did happen. And I think
Yeah.
it does come up as one of the most, and I mean, I imagine it's going to resurrect and be, I'm not going to say a cult favorite, but people may just watch this to see the what to do and what not to do and what it looks like when, people show up and there's this, I mean, it was almost like this big wave of darkness. I watched it and I
Mhm.
said, I have to watch it again. And Mary, I mean, you are like this bright light. And I mean, even showing up today in golden yellow, it was,
Aw, thank
but,
you.
and your recovery, it makes sense that you would still have post-traumatic stress this
Yes.
many years later.
Yeah.
And how was it to recover? And I mean, I know you're not in Vancouver anymore. You're in California, but you go back
Yeah,
and
I go back. It's funny because
how does it,
when I go
yeah.
there, the fans are so nice. I'm still like, it's like you can't go. I can't go pretty much anywhere there
Without being,
still
yeah.
because being recognized. Because it was such a big show. It was such a big show in Canada. I think it like broke the
But you were
record
also
for
pretty famous with your
with
music.
my
I mean,
music.
in your
Yeah,
own right, you already had a following and you were already doing, I mean, how many
yeah,
best-selling, I mean, let's go there. Prior to this, which they tried to diminish one certain person on there, is how many best-selling records? I mean, you had a lot of
yeah,
songs out there
yeah. I had
and
seven top 40 hits.
yeah,
I think,
7 top 40 hits.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
lot.
But then again, she was always like, no one's done anything of this crew. I mean, like, I think I was the only one who also went to had a university degree, but
Yep.
she was
And
still,
was Miss Ohio.
and
Let's
she's
just
like,
talk about
I'm the
that.
only
Yeah.
one who's done anything because I have a
Yeah.
cookbook. I'm like,
Yeah. Oh,
well, has
yeah.
anyone seen this cookbook?
I was just gonna say, we were just talking. I just had someone on with a cookbook that I love this cookbook, but no, I never saw her cookbook. Nor I don't know. Did anyone ever buy that cookbook?
I I've never seen it.
I don't think so.
I know that
Was
when
there ever really a cookbook? I mean, was there ever really a cookbook?
I don't think so. I've never seen
No.
it. All I know is that when our show wrapped, she started making dog food.
Oh,
Yeah, she started doing Jody's homemade dog food in cans. and
Wow.
that the
That's interesting.
yeah, the health department got a hold of the cans and shut her down. I guess it was contaminated, the dog food. I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind
Well, you know what? It's just the story unfolding.
of
It's like we can't make this stuff up, Mary. I mean, it's like it is
Jody's
what it is, what
fine
it is.
gourmet dog food. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not even trying to like
Even the dogs couldn't eat
yeah,
it. I don't
yeah, it was contaminated and poisonous, which what I think I called it venomous when we talked. It's like I've never seen so much venom. And I mean now people are everyone listening, yes, you probably should go watch The Housewives of Vancouver to watch what it looks like. And number one, I still think the network should have addressed the bullying.
Yeah,
That to me was the most shocking. But how you handled it with a grace and elegance was remarkable. And
I
how you
really
showed
appreciate
up,
that.
you still showed up, you were still singing, you still just effortlessly flowed through. From what I saw, I thought, I need to know this woman. I need to know.
Thank you.
And then the depth of you, your intelligence, your podcast show, what you're doing. Now so from the show to now, tell us, what does that entail? What does it look like? Is there love
Well,
in your life? To just tell us all
okay.
what's going
So
on.
since the show wrapped, I actually had probably the biggest honor of my life happen, um, which was I was asked to sing along with the choir in Italy, and I was the first performer to sing at the Sistine Chapel. So soloist.
Oh,
So
wow.
since it was erected in like 1472 or something like that,
It's huge.
it only allowed the Sistine Choir and certain instruments to play. So when the new pope had come along, he opened it up because our choir was going to be one of the first I think the first American choir out of New York to
Wow.
sing inside the Sistine Chapel. So I was a soloist with the choir, with a violinist and a harpist, and I was told that I could come on the tour, but I could sing in St. Francis of Assisi's, I could sing at St. Patrick's in Ireland and Dublin, and a couple of other places that we were
Right.
touring. And I was told I could not sing at the Sistine because they wouldn't allow a singular voice to be heard. It was just never done. I'm sitting in Ireland, and the choir director came up to me and said, "I'm really happy you're sitting down because the Pope just said that he would allow you to be the first soloist." And my best friend is a violinist, and
Wow.
they were going to allow violin to play. Harp had
Mm.
already had its day in the Sistine, but so it was. So she and I were able to play or to sing. So I soloed "You Raise Me Up" and "Amazing Grace,"
Wow.
and flew my parents in on the day
Oh,
notice because my mother
I love that.
is like
Oh,
the
and your
most
mom got to
Catholic
hear that. Your
person
mom
on
got to
planet.
hear that.
And she had
Wow.
never been to Rome. And I had said to her, "Mom, you're getting a ticket. I'm getting you and Dad a ticket, but you've got to get to Detroit Airport because your daughter's singing in the Sistine Chapel." And yeah, so it's something I will never forget.
Are there links where people can hear that? I mean,
Yeah, we
knowing that
want
your
to,
mom was there and being present for that, I can
yeah,
feel the impact of that.
it was,
It was
yeah.
huge. It was huge.
Yeah, and the two of them were like sitting on the bench holding hands, like as I was singing. I remember looking over, seeing them, looking at my friend Rosie, and then looking up at Michelangelo's work and singing in this place that you thought you were singing in heaven because the acoustics were just something out of
I've been
otherworldly.
there many times and it's
Okay,
like, well, I've never heard you sing in there, but I could only imagine because you're right. The acoustics are,
otherworldly. It's
yeah.
like God is completely encasing you. It's
And your voice is so angelic and beautiful. I was so surprised when I heard you sing. I'm like, wow, she
oh,
really
thank
can
you.
sing.
Thank
I
you.
mean, some people think they can sing and they're like, well, that's a nice voice, but then your voice is like, wow, she
Thank you.
really can sing.
Oh, I appreciate that. But it
Mm.
was definitely since we wrapped, then I did that, and that was like such an honor. I was then presented with a scroll saying from the Vatican,
Mm.
saying I was the first soloist to sing there. I didn't like make news with it. Like I didn't try to
Yeah.
get publicity on
But
it, but
like check.
yeah.
Those are some big accomplishments.
And it was on the heels of what I'd went through with Housewives as well. It was just like, oh wow, okay. well, this is kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
after all that, now I get to do that.
Yeah.
And then I started, after that, I started another podcast, which was before podcasts became all the rage.
Cool. Before
And
podcast became cool. Yeah.
because yeah, became everybody has had one that didn't have one then, and that
Mm,
was called Eat, Drink, and Be Merry, and I did that for I think 4 years, and it did really well. I loved it. I had big sponsorships and all that kind of stuff, and then my mom passed away,
right.
and when my mom passed away, I went dark.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't do much of anything. I
Yeah.
couldn't. I really just could barely function, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people lose their parents and their
Mm,
people in their lives, but it was so unexpected. And
yeah.
drove with my mom that morning to surgery, and she was
Yeah.
completely so energetic and so not afraid. And I said, "Are you afraid, Mom?" She goes, "Not at all." She had her little bag packed with her rosary
Yeah.
and she said she had never had surgery in her life, never
Yeah.
had been sick to be in the hospital. And the doctor said, "You're going to live to be 110," because her mother lived to 104. And so we're just going to fix this valve. And
Yeah.
never did we think my mother wasn't going to live. And
It knocked you right out of your, I mean, literally out of your
yeah.
body. You stayed out of your body for quite a couple of years. You
Oh
didn't,
yeah, it was
yeah. You
even
didn't,
my kids were like, "We want you to come back." And my now
yeah, you didn't
daughter-in-law,
reground very,
yeah,
yeah.
said, "Where are you? Why aren't you here?"
Yeah.
I was not me anymore. It just took it
Yeah.
away. So, and then I met, I hadn't been in a relationship for 8, 9 years. And then I met the guy that I'm with now. He's an actor,
Mm.
in a bank in Vancouver. And so that's kind of how I got down to be in Palm Desert quite often. So
Ah, so that's
that's
why you're
how,
in something. So
yeah.
grief is a really unbelievably powerful shift. I think that it goes unrated, people don't gauge how long and how it ebbs and flows and the depths that grief can take us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he came in. Did
Came
that
in the
make it?
picture, and he got to meet my mom for one time. And
Mm,
because we had just started dating, I think it was in October, and we had Thanksgiving back in Ohio, big Thanksgiving, and he got to
hmm.
meet my mom, and she died February. So um, he did get to have conversation with her, and I think
Right.
they even texted, between the couple months
Yeah.
there. But then she passed away in February, and then his mother passed away. My brother died of a cardiac arrest. My younger brother. There's been a lot of loss. My dog got eaten by a coyote here, George, who's on the show. He was my best buddy ever, and I thought, I hope nothing ever happens to him. Easter Sunday, he walks outside, and 8 minutes later, we found him, and he just, yeah.
I'm so sorry, Mary.
So
That is
it's been
well, I'm thinking your brother, that is a lot of loss.
it's a lot of loss. Yeah. Yeah. And that's all in the span of, 4, 5 years. It's
Right. That
yeah.
that that's enormous. How do
Mhm.
you can I ask you how you've been dealing with that?
I do have a therapist that I see um, on occasion, who's been wonderful. But basically, I
Good.
read a lot. I read a lot. I'm very spiritual, which is
Yeah.
one of the reasons I have really dug deep into trying to get more signs from my mom. Where is she? Like, where's my brother? My brother and I had a conversation the morning of his heart attack. Like, he's normal. I talked to him 2 hours beforehand. He was
Yeah.
reading a book on life after death when like he had it right with his stuff. Like
Yeah.
he had been wondering about it, and I've always felt like I've been sort of this person who one of my brothers thinks I'm like a conduit. He always says, like, it seems like you are like this
Yeah.
person that I get messages a lot, and I don't ignore them. I feel like, without being, I guess, sounding corny about it, but I believe that I get these clear messages from the other side sometimes. Like,
Well, you're
even
talking to a spiritualist
that
that
I
connects us.
know.
It's like
So I'm
I
talking, I'm
mean, I see
definitely,
dead people a lot. So it's like for me, your messages from the other side, we have to be available to. And I think that it's absolutely not number one, accessible, but
yeah,
it can bring enormous comfort and peace. And I think when we're ready, it's never what we demand, the signs that we see. People are like, I thought when you told me it was going to be this sign, and they'll do tests. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
this, it's never you don't test the universe or God. It's they show up in the form that they want to give you the signs, and there's usually something that's connected it, and you haven't thought of it yet that will connect it to
So true. That is
something
so true.
in your yeah.
My dad has said to me, like, I don't get any messages from mom. How come you do? Because my brother
Yeah.
said Mary gets messages and I get and he says, well, I don't. She doesn't come to see me. And I go, Dad, I just think it's that you're not open to it. You're not, you just don't, you're not letting things happen.
Exactly.
Um, you
There
know,
has to be if we think of heart-centered action, it's got to expand. We have to be
yeah.
available for it. And that means it's got to come in forms that we may not be aware of. It may be we're on the beach and we look down and we're like, oh, a white feather, and oh, or this is happening. Or I opened my suitcase the other day, and I mean, my dad drowned many years ago, but he's a
Oh,
huge,
I'm so
huge
sorry.
presence in my life. But yeah, but what's so interesting is I opened my suitcase and there was a shiny penny. And here I am packing my suitcase, and I'm seeing the shiny penny, and I'm like, and I just slowly say, "Hey, Dad," because I know his presence. I mean, I know he's present. And I get signs like that, shiny penny, shiny dimes. I mean, we have bowls. My housekeeper says, "Why are all the dimes all over your?" I'm like, "Don't ask." I
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
can't explain it, and I don't think we can explain it. I think when there are signs that show up, we can't always explain it.
Did you ever notice that this is just an observation that I've had? Um, the the sooner after someone passes away, I think there's more signs. I feel like it's almost like for the first half year, even my dog, I think, was trying to talk
Absolutely.
to me.
Butterflies, birds. So, oh, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
agree with that then? Because
Oh,
I don't
not only
think
do I
it's that
agree
I'm
with it,
making
as you
it
were
up.
talking, I just looked over at my peripheral vision, and I have a huge window with a hummingbird feeder. And I had a hummingbird at my feeder, and I'm just like, well, hello.
Well, do
And
you
I
know
think,
that your lights are flashing ever since you started talking about your dad? You see them?
well, not only does that happen, it's crazy things happen in this office. And
But just since you started talking about him, there's been like some surges, like some lights.
didn't see it, but you know what?
Yeah, now it stopped.
Not uncommon for that to take place, and the hummingbird to show up, and I'm like, oh, a hummingbird, and I wanted to like pivot the computer, but these things happen, and they're
Yeah.
just signs of presence, and we are not alone, and we are connected, and the veil is very thin. And I am not here to talk anyone to anything. I never wanted to believe what I believed. It terrified me, but now I
Wow.
just accept it into this process that we are connected, and some of us are more available, and we might be the conduit to bringing peace and love, which I am always anchored into. I don't believe that we
You
should.
exude that. You
Yeah.
absolutely exude that.
Oh, thank you, Mary. But I think it's so important that we don't share the trauma or and I obviously not a lot comes in like that. There was one
Yeah.
person that came in. I'm literally doing a coaching session with her, and I said, "Well, it looks like you have someone here to visit. Would you like?" And I always ask permission. Would you like to speak to her? And they're like, "Well, absolutely." And I'm like, well, she's about 80 pounds wet, and she is demanding and pounding on my table, and I'd like to say goodbye to her. And I think she's oh my God, that's my aunt. And she was addicted to methamphetamine and absolutely
No
always wet,
way.
always 80 pounds. And I'm like, and she's got a plaid shirt on with red. She goes, and that's what she died in. And there's crazy things like that happen.
Wow.
And if people are open, sometimes that happens, but a lot of times I will have that, and I don't bring it in because it's just the timing is not correct, and it's not applicable,
Well, so you
or
actually are a medium. Like you're getting,
oh yeah, oh no, I was born that way. It's just yeah, and
that's
it
so cool.
terrified me for years.
I bet.
It was like when my dad, we talked a little bit of my dad drowning, and I 10 days search and rescue was called off in the ocean, and I would not leave. I said, I
No.
know he is here. I know he's here. And sure enough, a psychic that he reached out to help me, and I mean, to make me understand who I was and not to be frightened, because I would sleep with crosses on my chest. I was so frightened all the time.
Oh my
And
God.
I mean, I just thought maybe it was like I was being possessed, but I didn't want to see anybody. And I'm like, I don't see you, I don't see you, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to. And I would say those mantras all the time. But I think she brought me a lot of peace and understanding. And it was my dad that said, "Can you help my daughter?" And she worked for the police department and the criminal department. She wrote books in Reno, Nevada. And so
How did you
she
find
actually,
her?
well,
She
she did
reached
my
out to
dad's
you?
eulogy. She was my dad found her. He was a friend and she did his eulogy. But I am on this little sandbar in the ocean and I'm not leaving. And I mean, she literally is walking up and she's very angry. And she said she was not very polite. And I was 30, and she said, "I can't believe you're making me do this." And I'm like, "What did I make you do?" And she said he's 5 feet from her. His waders are stuck on below her, and there he was, and there he was, and
Oh
we
my
found my dad, and
gosh.
and that brought enormous peace that we found him, that he wasn't lost at sea. I mean, there is still he's got a
I
memorial
don't
of
know how
him
you
in.
ever do. That's a terrible, terrible tragedy. Wow.
Well,
I'm
but
so
we don't
sorry.
we go through a lot of tragedies? I mean, look what you've been through. We've gone through, I don't know. Sometimes we lose people, and then sometimes we lose people to grief. Grief is a
Yeah.
powerful, I think it's the most powerful thing we deal with. You know, the grief of losing people that haven't died yet. I think sometimes that grief can be even harder,
Yeah.
that we grieve relationships and losses, because sometimes we can imagine relationships are better than they were when we lose people.
Yeah.
And when they're here, we can deal with a little bit more of the reality.
Well, I'm
And
already grieving my father who's still
yes,
here, but I know
yes,
that my dad is ill and he's 87. He's
yes,
there here 100%,
yes,
which makes it even somewhat harder because,
yeah.
and he thinks so too, because his brain's all the way there and he can
Oh,
discuss like you and I can, and how he doesn't
oh,
forget
right.
things. He has a steel trap memory. And
Yeah.
so now, but I know that his body is not doing well, right? So it's,
And
I'm
we talked
grieving.
about this. Like my mom, it's like her photographic memory, brilliant. I do anything to have her mind. She's a genius, but she's losing her eyesight and her body is not, and she's in her 80s. And I think about this a lot, Mary, and I want to know if you think about this too. I think we're the same age, and I think about getting older. I think less about that, but I think about them. And I think about that's a kind of around the corner. And
Yeah,
it
I do
scares
think
me
about
just
it.
a little bit,
I do.
that,
That's me too.
things are shifting and changing. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes I just want them just to slow down a little bit. Like,
I
can we
know.
just slow down a little bit
And it
and
seems to go faster. My dad used to say life is like a roll
yes.
of toilet paper. The what did he say? It's like
What
a
an interesting thing to say,
I
but
know, but he used to say
yes.
it gets quicker toward the end or gets faster toward the
Mm,
end. Something like that. It was he always used to say that. And it's pretty much true, right? Like God,
yeah.
I feel like I just had my kids. It was like 30
Yeah.
years ago and I still feel like it was yesterday. I don't
Oh
know
no,
if
I'm
you feel
right there
that.
with you. And I still say, "Hey, can you check in when you land?" They're like, "Mom,
Me
I'm in
too.
my 30s." It's like I'm not going to check in. No, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, "Please." It would make
Yeah.
me sleep better. Just it
Yeah.
would make me sleep better. But then again, my mom still asks me, "Did you land? Did you check in? Do you think you can do that?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm in my sick. No, I don't need to check in." But she's still,
But she
and
still does it.
she still does
Yeah.
it. And I'm trying to understand this process. I think we're just constantly evolving and holding space for more and more that I don't totally understand, but I'm trying to have the
I love
grace.
this topic. I wish we could talk about this for a whole nother podcast too, because just
But
talking
we
about
will. We will, because I
navigating,
have a feeling there's a lot of expansion here and I think
yeah,
people want to hear about it and they
this,
want to know, because I think we are not alone with so many people
yes,
dealing with this
and
and
navigating this landscape of
and
where we are
navigating it.
now. I mean, all of your friends, my friends, we're all in this, and it's very
Yeah.
hard because you also feel invisible. A lot of people feel invisible, and
Yeah.
their kids are grown and they are now trying to reinvent themselves or not.
Yeah.
And then just caretaking, 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 and It's a
Well, not only that, not even reinventing. It's like here we have this life or career and it's abundant, but it doesn't mean there aren't days where we aren't the ebbing and flowing, where we
yeah,
feel invisible or we
yeah,
feel a little lost or we feel this, I wouldn't say ageism, but we feel and we understand that things are shifting and changing. And and then there's days where we're back in our power. I mean, it ebbs and flows. And I'm like, wow, didn't dig that day. And let's do more mantras. But I'm hearing more and more of that, of people
yeah,
feeling not seen or having to reinvent. But I'm coaching more and more women that are in their 70s, 80s, a business coach in New York in her 80s, reinventing and and I'm like, and that's not unusual right now. We are changing as
yeah,
well,
yeah,
where the longevity and
yeah.
we
We're
are
living
here longer.
longer.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at well, my mom in her 60s was still killing it. She was, but my grandmother was retired, but still killing. But there are other, that if we go back generations,
Hmm.
that this was total retirement. There was no working and I mean, and I'm gearing up for book tours, doing another book. I mean, and you are too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I can see what you're doing. And I'm like, oh,
Nonstop
Mary's,
going. Yeah,
yeah, Mary's
yeah.
reinventing and redoing again.
I'm going
You
back in the
know,
recording studio.
see, what did I say?
So
I
I'm
felt
going to
it. And
finish my, I'm going to do some classic. I think I'm going to do like a cover of some old time classics, and I'm also going to
oh,
expand.
yes.
Yeah, some old time classics, and I'm going to also expand my Christmas album.
Oh,
So
I love that.
yeah, so I'm just for fun. I'm going to go back in. Of course, I'll put it out, but
Oh,
I'm,
just for fun.
yeah, just for
I
fun. I'm
love,
going to
you
get
know
this
what?
one.
I would say let's claim that. And I want you to want more for that because it is for fun, but your voice is beautiful.
Oh, thank
And,
you so
and
much.
I think that I believe in not just success stories, but when we claim it, we plant the spiritual seeds on the playing field and they grow. But if we
Okay, then I'm
don't
going to do
claim it,
that. I'm going to
we
claim
don't
it.
claim it. We say, it's just for fun. I'm
Yeah.
just doing it because I just want. No, you're doing this because people need to hear your Christmas songs, your voice, because I heard it. I'm like, I'm like, what? She really, what a beautiful
You.
voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
That
you
means a
really
lot
are
to me.
multi-talented. And I mean, and
Thank
then
you.
look at you. You don't look at, I mean, for those of you that can see on YouTube, she doesn't look over 30, which is
Oh
crazy.
my gosh, you're so kind.
Well,
She.
I'm so truthful. It's true.
Well, that's very sweet. But this
You're,
thing probably isn't showing all my lines.
nope, you're beautiful, beautiful,
Thank
beautiful.
you.
There's so much more I want to talk to you about, but I'm looking at your constant evolution of where you started out in the Midwest, Miss Ohio, you went to Vancouver, you went on a show. That was, I mean, that alone really shook and I mean, I can feel the vibration of how it really
Yeah,
shook your
yeah.
world.
And I'm writing right now. That's the other thing I didn't tell you. So I've been writing
Well,
for
there
years.
was my next question
Yeah,
was,
okay. So
are
yeah,
you going to write some memoirs, some a book about what this, I mean, I mean, look at your
that's a
story,
great
Mary.
idea. That's a great idea. I've not been working on that, but I do write programs. I write TV shows. I did that for with Thunderbird Films and Great Pacific Media for a while. Right after Housewives, I worked at Great Pacific Media, which I was writing shows and producing shows. More reality docu-reality series, and so I'm still doing that. David, who is an actor producer, my boyfriend, he and I are writing shows, and we're getting ready to go pitch in
Love
LA
that.
again. So
Love that.
yeah, so
But
that's
I'm just
fun.
gonna say, so if I had the liberty and permission to tell you what I see, do I have
Please,
permission?
please.
Oh,
Should
I
I
see
write a
a
book?
best-selling book and I see it like I mean, I want to snap my fingers like this, like that's how fast it's coming. It's
Okay,
like you need
tell
you
me,
need
please, tell
yeah,
me.
you need to claim that. You have to decide whether you want to own that book or whether you want to have a big publisher take you on a whirlwind tour where you wouldn't own the book, which things are shifting in the publishing world, but you get to decide that. I see your decision, I see your crossroads, but I see the book and it is going to be, it absolutely is. I see gold, best selling, all of it.
What do you think
You,
my content is? What do you think? My
oh,
whole
I'm thinking,
story,
oh,
including
I'm seeing Midwest beauty queen. I'm seeing the housewife story, not just the story, but it's very unusual that you go through what you went through without any advocacy. I mean, no one stepped up.
Yeah.
That alone is, I mean, that would be not just a page turner, but there's a lot to be learned there. There's a, when things happen and we don't have an adversary, we don't have people that show up and step in, s- we need to call them
You
out on it.
internalize it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
we
does become
internalize it. We think we've
internalized.
done
Yeah.
something wrong, or
Yeah.
what did I do wrong, or what could I have done differently?
Yeah.
Nothing. You should upgrade, and then you continue to move through, but the PSD and all of that is still continued. But I think it would be very cathartic to write the book, release it, and what an enormous amount of freedom. And it's so funny. The hummingbird showed up, the butterflies, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I just see this freedom and movement. And I think that's kind of what you're,
From Miss America to a to
yeah,
a real housewife. Oh my God.
Miss America to the housewives to, I mean, not, I mean, to a singer at I mean, the 60s chapel. I mean, think about where you've been and what you've done. This is big stuff. And you minimize it like, yeah, I didn't do much about that. And yeah, that was happening. And it's out there on, Peacock. And yep, this is going on.
You know
And,
what? I
and
gotta
we,
tell you, Dana, this is such a beautiful thing you're saying because my brother, before he died, my brother was an addict. He didn't die from that, but he had had kind of a hard life, as far as never really getting to his potential and always having the demon on his back.
God, we have so much in common. I mean, every
Really?
time you say something, I'm like,
You're like, I've been there.
ding, ding. Yeah.
Yeah. So my brother and I had a conversation one day, and he said to me, you know, Mern, that my family calls me Mern. Don't ask me why. So that's my nickname. So he's like,
I
Mern,
like that.
he's like, you know, I never have amounted to anything. I've never really done anything.
Mm,
And I said, but Georgia, you have so much life in front of you, and you graduated from college, and you have a degree,
yeah.
even through everything you went through, and you're so bright. And I mean, I was just really trying to tell him all the opportunities he has in front of him. And I said, I haven't fulfilled my dreams or destiny yet. I don't believe as well. And he said, how can you say that? And then he went through the list of what you were kind of saying to me.
Well,
And
I'm checking off. There was too much for me to check. I mean, I highlighted,
oh,
I
you're so
didn't look
sweet.
down. There was so much to check off. And I'm like, these are all the things that she hasn't acknowledged. She downplays
Well,
and,
the funny thing about my
and
brother
hasn't claimed.
saying that was just that I was telling him that no matter what you've really accomplished, if you still feel like you really want to still create and you still
Mm.
have a passion and a dream and you still want to do things. I said to him, like, I didn't even know that you knew. He said the Sistine Chapel. That's why I thought of it. He said, well, you sang at the Sistine Chapel. And I said,
Mm.
I didn't even know you knew that. And he's like, what do you mean you didn't know I knew it? And I said, I don't
Yeah.
know. I never thought you or any of
Yeah.
my brothers and sisters even knew I did it. I know mom and dad, they came to see me, but
Yeah. Isn't it funny how you
he's like, what are
minimize
you
everything?
talking
Yeah.
about? Everybody knew you were singing there. And I go, oh,
Yeah.
well, I just didn't think anyone paid attention. I didn't. So it was just so funny the way he said that. And he had kind of sounded like he was,
Mm.
what you just said to me sounds like what he said to me, which is
Well, the
only the second person
creativity and
that's ever
curi
said it. So,
well, the creativity and the curiosity of leaning into your life and wondering why you haven't claimed and built on and minimized. It makes sense to me being who I am, why you've done it. But I also know that there's a reinventing happening and there's a book happening and there's bigger things happening, but you have to claim it. It isn't going to fall on your head like an
yeah,
apple.
yeah.
It's like bing.
Well, you have
Um,
inspired me. That I can tell you this has been an amazing
oh,
conversation because I
bravo,
feel very
bravo.
inspired. So,
Well, you should because when I see things, it's like I don't normally like pour so much, but it's just like when I see it and it's like happening, I almost like get excited, like, oh my gosh, she needs to know this because she's got to when the opportunity comes, she's got to claim that because that's our job. Our job is to put a demand on the universe,
yeah,
and otherwise opportunities come and go. They just ebb and flow, and we have to receive. And you, Mary, your receiving is a little bit blocked
yeah.
due to trauma and your life force energy. You're out there doing, but you don't claim. what it is, not the fame, I mean, not the recognition. I mean, and most people don't do a tenth of what you've done. And you're like, I don't know if I've done very much. And I'm just hanging out in the desert and taking care of my dad. And
Yeah.
no, you've done incredible things.
Thank
And
you. Oh
I
my
can't
gosh,
wait
it
to hear
means
your
so
music come
much
out.
to me. Thank
Can't
you.
wait for the book. Can't wait to connect with you again. I can't wait to where I see our connection going too, which I
All
will
of this. I'm just like,
I'll write
wow.
it and I'll seal it and you'll say, "Oh my God, she claimed this and look at what's happening." And she already wrote it out and said, so be it so to so. It's
Well,
wow. How can
I
people
can't wait
find
for
you?
it to
Where
be
can they
coming.
find you these days outside of hanging out in the desert and
Well, I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. I don't use
yeah.
it as much as I used to. I always feel like, oh, it's so much work to be on Twitter. And then I always feel like, oh, being too much on Twitter and social media just takes so much time away from other things I'm going to do. But
Yeah.
podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and then of course I'm on YouTube or on Instagram and Twitter and
Where
TikTok.
can they find your music?
It's Apple Music. It's on Apple, Spotify. It's on all of the major
And
music
we will
channels.
have all the links for everyone
Yeah.
listening. We'll have all the links. We'll make everything available. And I already know I'm going to be bombarded. Like, we want more of Mary. I can already hear it. And I'm like, Mary, will you come back? Will you come
I
back?
will come. I would love to come back and
Yeah.
please come on my podcast. We can
Oh,
finish off
absolutely.
everything we're talking about on my podcast too.
I have 2 pages of questions that we didn't even like
Ah,
drop into, but I think the complexities of your life and where you are just gave us the segue to talk about exactly. I always say energy doesn't lie, frequency is exactly where it needs to be. And we talked about exactly what we needed to. Even
oh,
though I had a beautiful hour with you prior, I wish they could have like been a fly on the wall with that because it was just so heart-centered and
yeah, it was
genuine and
beautiful. I
it
feel
was
like I've known
beautiful.
you forever. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to our next
Ditto.
conversation.
I can't
Wow,
wait.
thank you for all the beautiful thoughts and things that you've said. It really is going to resonate with me for a long time. So,
Well, Mary, thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you again. And for everyone that's listening and watching, make sure to download this. You're going to want to listen to it again because she has said things that you're going to want to put on repeat that are extraordinarily powerful. I
aw,
heard them,
thank you.
and I can't wait to listen to them again. You are magical. I'm just going to say
Thank
you're
you.
magical.
I adore you. Thank you so much. So are
Adore you
you.
too. All right,
Thank
everyone, thank you for showing up today. For now, we will see you next time on the Dana Grant Show. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Mary.